The CoinSource channel is pleased to have you back. Request from viewer is, what do you think will happen next? You can also comment your opinion. Thank you to all the subscribers of our CoinSource. Who came to our channel CoinSource? You will always be info with the latest CoinSource news. Option 1, will there be a settlement of XRP and XRP? Option 2, or XRP will win. Option 3, or SEC will win. Please like my video and subscribe my channel. The topic of discussion revolved around Operation Choke 2.0. It was essentially a method for Bitcoin to stop taking payments from inside the business, in case you weren't aware. The gates to all cryptocurrency exchanges were being sealed. Some cryptocurrency banks were closing their doors. Something really big has come up. Just recently, Caitlin Long from the custodial bank brought it up again. That they aren't intending to harm you is proven here, not by your paranoia. There was an attempt to release Caitlin Long's 2.0 crypto bank checkpoint, according to court papers. Even though we knew this to be true before, this is still a major development. Throughout the months of March, April, May, and into the summer of 2023, I brought up this matter quite a bit. Since it was central to the plot, it needed constant monitoring. Now that Bitcoin ETFs are available, I think it's crucial that we look at the facts to see what's actually going on, as this is coming up again. In Operation Choke 2.0, the Federal Reserve is reportedly targeting cryptocurrency banks, as reported by Brian Brooks, and XRP is covering the story. Everyone who knows Brian Brooks can see that his comment was quite meaningful. If you watch the video closely, you'll see that this government's financial regulators have concluded that cryptocurrencies are dangerous and should be banned from banks. If cryptocurrency were perceived as an ordinary, if potentially risky, lawful business, banks would likely accept it. Sorry to break it to you, but as the head of the OCC, do you honestly believe that they were stupid enough to miss the fact that a single bank was the primary culprit in the economic meltdown? Having said that, bank regulators work together quite closely. As head of the OCC, I kept in touch with the FDS chairman and the vice chairman of the Fed's First Bank Supervision Division on a weekly basis. We met for an hour every week to go over upcoming goals, ways to assist one another, how the system is responding to our actions, and why this is not an accident. That was very important to me. This time it's different. Upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent that they have been collaborating to treat Bitcoin with the seriousness it deserves. With his extensive background in both the industry and beyond, Brian Brooks is well suited to this pivotal role. On top of that, he uses what he knows to make an educated guess on the likelihood of something similar happening. If this has been going on for some time, I would not be shocked. On top of that, the fact that large banks have been either directly or indirectly involved with government authorities in an effort to undermine the growth of Bitcoin is well known. Because they are shifting their wealth away from centralized institutions and into decentralized ecosystems, ordinary investors are bearing the brunt of the consequences. That is to say, the moment you begin to move money out of banks and into Bitcoin, they begin to feel anxious and concerned. This, in my view, began in 2020 and persisted through 2020 to 2021, including the initial cycles of the latter year. We need to give this more focus now that the ETFs are involved. The ETFs are now the focus of attention since they are a result of Operation Choke 2.0 and all of its after effects. Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, ETFs, seem to get universal praise these days. That's extraordinary. That will soon be the focus of our conversation. There has never been a more centralized exchange than 86, Tether is at an all-time high, and ETC is down 50 index volumes. First, I'd like to address this June essay that will be discussing the consequences of Operation Choke 2.0. Last but not least, we will be relocating offshore and progressively handing over less authority to US government ETFs. Anyone who has paid attention to the news recently will tell you that these ETFs are receiving a substantial amount of money. The first 3 days alone likely accounted for about $1 billion. Operating Choke 2.0's stated objective was, without a doubt, to seize control of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies by supplanting native cryptocurrency startups with huge, well-established organizations that are devoted to the US government. On top of that, picture this, the BlackRock Spot ETF proposed. That is precisely what transpired, and everyone agrees on that. Large Wall Street corporations like BlackRock Faithful now effectively control Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This remains the main issue, regardless of how Moon Lumbos responds. Yes. Johnny Deaton has long been raising the alarm by cutting ties with pioneers who have been working with cryptocurrency from the beginning. When it comes to legacy finance, Gensler is clearing the decks for the big dogs. Blockchain technology is very comparable to Ripple and XRP, as you correctly pointed out. Our paths had crossed before. By doing so, one may be able to readily understand the actual scenario. In hindsight, the circumstances surrounding the launch of Ripple and XRP show that Bitcoin and Ethereum, two decentralized digital currencies, considerably outshone conventional banks. In reality, long-standing financial institutions will face increasing competition in the global money transfer industry. Who do you think they recruited to assist them take advantage of the lucrative market for international money transfers? That did not sit well with them. Investigators from regulatory bodies have filed lawsuits against them. We finally prevailed in that battle after over 2 years of hard work by Ripple. But will we ever reach the end of this path of conflict? It appears to be happening, in fact. Coinbase is now facing continuous legal proceedings. To the best of our knowledge, this video will address Binance-related financial goals. JP Morgan is going to be my conversation partner on this, so that's promising. However, before I get into that, I must discuss the incident on January 11th, when I collided with a police officer. According to a statement released by Senator Warren, the leader of the anti-crypto army, the struggle is far from over and Operation Choke Point 2.0 will not be cancelled, even though a huge victory has been gained. Elizabeth Warren tweeted this, in which she stated her belief that the SEC's decision to allow Bitcoin ETFs was incorrect on policy and legal grounds. My impression is that Elizabeth Warren is using this as a ruse to devalue the Bitcoin ETF. But keep in mind that conventional financial Goliaths and market-controlling Wall Street giants may come in and seize a lot of land when this fund opens the way. The Bitcoin ETF had nearly $1 billion invested in just 3 days. In the opinion of those who think that sum is inadequate, this has become an enormous milestone in just 3 days. But before the year ends, you still have time. My name is Scott Milker, and I'm here. It remained intact, despite the fact that we discovered that financial regulators were closed on weekends. The funds did not meet their expectations. Look into Choke Point Operation 2.0, an apparent crypto attack. It is now the perfect time for everyone here to put on their tinfoil hat. Simply enough, Signature Bank was not officially declared bankrupt. We also had a brief discussion regarding this. Because Signature Bank was so important and involved so many paperwork, I had no idea what had happened, so I was happy when it was ultimately closed. Its sturdiness, though, was surprising. Bank operations were halted. It was blatantly an attack, so stay vigilant this weekend. The authorities proceeded to shut down the signatory bank, despite the lack of evidence of a significant bank run. But it didn't seem like people were having trouble getting their hands on the money they wanted. A real worry of its failure arose when several Bitcoin users lost money when they withdrew monies from Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate. It makes perfect sense, even if a large number of people were withdrawing funds from banks at the same time. Because of this, the last choice that Bitcoin firms had was effectively eliminated. All US Bitcoin businesses are not suddenly unbanked, because these 3 banks went under. Consider that out of thousands of financial institutions, each one faced the same challenges and was vulnerable to the same treasury risk. None of the 3 that failed in March had anything to do with the Bitcoin sector, though. It bears reiterating due to the significance of these 3 banks to the room. They were the backbone of the system that ensured services were delivered to major companies in this field. Surprisingly, only 3 of the institutions that deal heavily in cryptocurrency have collapsed thus far. Everyone is a conspiracy theorist, which is why statements like "the tinfoil hats are out" are made. To be sure, starting in 2020, when the genuine situation in the US and the SEC's actions were both criticized by everyone. We have consistently been correct in this forecast. Everyone turned on XRP and Ripple, and I still remember the lawsuit being dismissed. To them, it seemed like it had been done before. Some weeks or months after Vitalik enabled Ripple for Ethereum Maxis, a considerably wider tail emerged, and we wholeheartedly backed it. What in the world was happening? The crux of it was an attack on corruption. This is the deciding factor, ultimately. Just when Jamie Dimon is constructing the largest tokenization project ever utilizing Avalanche, he accuses cryptocurrencies of being a hoax. Those who own 10% of the two biggest Bitcoin miners in the US are ineligible to participate in the Bitcoin ETF offered by Vanguard. The fact that this goes all the way back to December 13 is quite intriguing. Focus on what they do rather than what they say. Jamie Dimon's anti-Bitcoin effort coincided with the quadrupling of JP Morgan's cryptocurrency business. This is hilarious, I swear. Consequently, when we take a closer look at this matter, it's obvious that they're trying to destroy the area using whatever means they can find, including regulators. Notable figures such as Elizabeth Warren have also spoken out against cryptocurrencies, adding their voices to the chorus. As they advance and master the monopoly game, they aim to keep Wall Street and the large banks under their thumb. Some cryptocurrencies have real-world applications, while others don't, as Jamie Dimon pointed out on Tomasi on January 17. This is an inaccurate claim from the media. My second one goes by a few names: Bitcoin, my pet rock, and something like. It may prove helpful in certain instances. People also trade things apart from it. As ludicrous as it seems, I would be astonished if the regulators didn't own hundreds of shares in JP Morgan. This is due to the fact that JP Morgan has endured a great deal of litigation. It is worth noting that this particular bank processes more settlement sums globally compared to any other. A range of $1 million to $20 million is possible for compensation. A handful of people amassed fortunes of about $1 billion by manipulating commodities markets and other matters of great importance. Nevertheless, there are other noteworthy events that occurred as a result of the $18 million fine that Nance paid in connection with the lawsuit settlement between JP Morgan and the SPLC. But when JP Morgan does the same thing, nobody pays attention. Finally, January 16 arrived. The last trade of $18 million was only 2 days earlier. Along with the $4 billion in federal indictments, our Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer have now pled guilty. We can compare this $4 billion fine to an $18 million fine because this is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange and the biggest bank in the world. Remember that all cryptocurrencies are worth approximately $2 trillion. The biggest bank in the country has assets of $18 million, but this one has $4 billion. Could you perhaps explain in more detail what is wrong with these two pictures? Sorry, I don't think so. In this role, JP Morgan is acting more like a puppet master. A major worry is that they are still manipulating the market, much like they did with the silver and gold markets, and that he is handling the problem. Currently, it's quite entertaining. However, this is why we examine Operation Choke Point 2.0. Here we examine the Ripple and XRP situation. The library's legal stance and the nature of the present situation can be better understood by looking at the most recent cases, which include those against Coinbase. As a result, the XRP community's reaction has been extremely hostile. Having said that, I really hope that everyone enjoyed this movie. Subscribing and like is always appreciated. Muchas gracias, depart.